Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on in to the PSP Podcast, featuring your friendly host, Perc 173, where PSP stands for Perc Spreads Positivity, where we educate.
The 3 E's, right? You can educate, you can entertain, you can be empathetic.
Have you encountered any gender-related obstacles or biases while building your career in content creation?
I would say the cyber stalking.
By bringing in the best of the best. You still do that, so let's not discount that. So what really made you go into streaming? What was that decision? What was that move that made you make, as I'm very sorry, I know I'm teasing you, but it's literally, it's one of those things that we can do. Post everywhere, post often, and do it your own way. And have fun. And have fun and be yourself.
Fine. Have fun, honestly. Like that, I love that so much because it's so true. Like, if you like the content you're making, like if you're watching it and you like it, you're not the only person.
From fitness to establish a new habit or a routine, what is your message to them?
Start with less than you think you need.
Too fitting. Would love to get some tips and tricks of the trade on like how you kind of do things in the cosplay field.
Yeah, I'd love to go into that, especially because like I've done a little bit of everything, right? So I've made some costumes, I've bought some costumes, I have my friends with costumes, I've commissioned costumes, I like craft all kinds of things, but also I wear things. Like there's a whole smorgasbord if I do a little bit of everything when it comes to cosplay.
To VTubing and animation. This is something that I may want to get into. How should they start?
Ooh, I think everyone should start on YouTube. I think YouTube is going to be your best place for launching
metrics that creators should be paying attention to, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think, and like specifically with like VTubing, I think it's, I think all of that is like kind of like the difficulty level is like bumped up to like expert.
And our goal at the PSP Podcast is to educate and inspire aspiring creators. And we are super excited for this week's episode, and we can't wait to see you there. So let's have a freaking party. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on into another episode of the PSP Podcast, and I'm your friendly host, Perc 173, where the PSP stands for Perc Spreads Positivity. And today, we are talking about something which every creator cares about, and it's about longevity. It's about how to build a presence. It's about community. It's about actually building a brand that lasts. And to break it all down, I'm joined by somebody who lives this every single day. And if you guys don't know her, she's a partner, she's an ambassador, she's a leader, she's a host, she's an interviewer. She even plays some really awesome games, the retro games. And I'm super excited to introduce Ashsaidhi. Ash, say hi.
Hi.
How
Hello.
are you?
I'm great. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, actually. It's been a really interesting day, but I'm glad to be here. I'm excited it's Friday, and I'm glad to be here with you.
I am same. I'm glad to be here with you. You know, we've already had some great conversations and I am feeling prepped. I'm feeling ready and I'm looking forward to having a good conversation today.
Absolutely. I'm very excited to have a conversation with you and just kind of get to know you and help educate the entire content world. Because like, as you guys know, the PSP Podcast is dedicated to inspire aspiring creators. And the whole reason why I put it on is to bring in the best of the best, people who've been out there, people who've experienced the world of content in ways that, well, maybe you have not. And we could share their journey with you and we can get to know a little bit about them. So why don't you introduce yourself to people that might not know who you are?
Sure. So, hi, everyone. My name is Ash. I stream on Twitch as Ashsaidhi. I'm also on pretty much every social media platform as Ashsaidhi. And I've been a broadcaster since March of 2019. And I have been a Twitch ambassador since March of 2020. 2021. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure I don't mess up these dates here. It's been a long road, you know, and I have been a Twitch Women's Guild leader since last year. Actually, my time as the Twitch Women's Guild leader is going to be over at the end of this month. I'm in the wonderful position of handing off the responsibilities to the next community specialist who will be taking over, and they're going to do an incredible job. But I mostly broadcast retro games and Nintendo games. As you can see, I'm a big Nintendo fan, and indie games with a retro vibe. And the goal of my channel and the work that I do is to connect with people through the joy of retro gaming. You could think of my channel as kind of like a third space for people who enjoy comfort, retro gaming, Mr. Rogers style vibes of, like, you know, how we talk and interact with each other, making sure everybody feels like they're welcome, and exploring games that we either know and love very well, or games that I've never played before, and sharing that excitement and that fondness for things like that. So yeah, I really enjoy being a broadcaster on Twitch. I'm also a host. I've hosted in many different places, online and in person. I've hosted Twitch Rivals. I've hosted at DreamHack this year. I did the main stage. I've hosted at TwitchCon. I've done many panels and interviews all throughout the years, like PAX East and retro conventions all over the place. So yeah, I love traveling. And then outside of streaming, you know, I love art. I have a degree in graphic design. I went to school for advertising. I have a cat named Bobby who's not here right now,
W cats.
surprisingly. Yeah, she'll probably come and crash the show soon.
As will
But
Joplin, but
yeah, you know, they have a knack for that, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, and I love Star Trek, and I love Nintendo, and I love gaming. I love gaming history. So yeah, I'm excited to delve deeper into all of the different things that I've learned through my content creation journey. I love teaching people, and that's why I do a lot of panels and things like that. I love sharing everything that I've learned through my journey, so that way people can, you know, not have to go through the mistakes that I've gone through, or maybe their journey's a little bit easier.
And that's honestly like super amazing for people that like don't know a lot about you, because being in the Women's Guild, being a Twitch ambassador, doing as many panels as you have, like you've been out and about in the content field, and it is really speaks like your credibility as a creator and like the stuff that you put forward, and like it's awesome. It's really cool to see. And like you mentioned you were a host in the past, right?
Hmm.
So what types of things do you like to host? Minus, I know we talked a little bit about the panels, but I know we can delve into that a lot more.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love hosting panels for sure, but I just love being on stage, right? Like at
Mm-hmm.
DreamHack, I did interviews for the Artist Alley, like the people who are in the Artist Alley, and like devs and all that kind of stuff. And that was really fun because I got to learn a bit about each of the people I was interviewing kind of on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, help them to feel comfortable on the stage. So, and it was my first time hosting main stage at DreamHack. So basically how that worked was Gabby Durden was like the main host for the main content, and then I was basically like the interstitial host in between. So it was fun to kind of like, you know, play off of Gabby and like jam with her on stage, and you know, she would do her thing, and then I would come out and we'd like banter a little bit, and then I'd bring the guests on stage and we would interview and talk, and then Gabby would transition out. So that was really fun, and it was a new experience for me. So I'm really thankful for DreamHack for working with me on that. And I've also done hosting hosting at Games Done Quick, which is a speed running show that does charity multiple times a year. So I've done hosting for AGDQ and GDQX, which is their live in-person show at TwitchCon. I've also been couch commentary, and couch commentary means like if somebody is speed running, there's a person that's either doing like color banter or they're like giving a play-by-play of what is happening on screen. And I've done that for my friends at AGDQ and other shows as well. Like they have this show called Black in a Flash, which highlights Black speed runners and Black excellence in that category. So that's really fun. So I've hosted there, and basically what that means is like you'll read donations and you'll hype up the speedrunner, and you'll intro and outro them, and you'll kind of like, for online shows, you'll also kind of be their couch commentary if they don't have it. So that's really fun. And like I've done some hosting with Amazon at TwitchCon. So I hosted for, like it was really fun. I did it for Lord of the Rings when Rings of Power came out, and I had to do trivia, and I had to do like, just talking to the audience and, talking a little bit about the show before it was launched. So that was really fun. And I did this other hosting gig for Amazon at TwitchCon. There was a spin-off show for The Boys. I don't remember the name of it, but it was something like where the students were in the academy and they all had special powers. But like I said, it was a spin-off of The Boys. So I had to do stuff for that. And it's been really fun. It's been really cool, like this journey and how things have evolved. So my goals for 2026 are to absolutely get more work like that and to continue to broaden my horizons and see what other shows are out there.
That is absolutely amazing. So my business in the content field is not nearly as seasoned as yours. I like to consider myself a little fledgling content creator, even though I've been around for 10 years, but I've only been streaming for like 5 of those years. Like I've been watching people make content forever, and like I decided to get into streaming because of Bad Bear Gamer and The Only Shady, who are amazing Call of Duty content creators, and it made me want to stream Call of Duty myself. I decided to put together the PSP podcast kind of on a whim because I was paying attention to what are the little ins and outs of like how content can like work with you, and like how can you learn about content, what are the things we should know, and there wasn't really much about that out there. And I don't know why, because like YouTube is an amazing place and it has all the things that you could possibly need to know, but I didn't learn that until I started kind of delving into the world of content and like trying to put together just a basic singular PC setup with OBS. But that being said, hosting something in streaming, they're entirely 2 different things. So what qualities as a content creator would separate a good streamer versus a good host?
Oh, that's such a good question. I think, things that make that overlap definitely are your ability to improv, right?
Yes.
Like we were talking earlier today about live production and how you've got to be able to go with the flow and things happen and all that kind of stuff, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So I think that's definitely where they overlap. I think where they're different is for live production or hosting, it's about being able to work with your producer and being able to like understand information that'll come in quickly and change quickly, and you have to adapt, or you have to kind of be like a vessel to share information with the audience. So being able to read ad reads, being able to, like obviously read a teleprompter and make it sound natural, being able to kind of like intro and outro, and you're not really the star of the show, right?
Right.
Unless like that is the point of what you're doing as the host. Like if you are the star of the show, like that's one thing. But with streaming, I think that you are the star of the show. Like,
Absolutely.
I mean, for me on my own channel, I want to be the thing that everybody shows up for. I want to be the person that, like, fills the stadium, So I think the skills that are different there is being able to hold audience retention, which, I mean, you're doing as a host as well, but in a different way. Like, you have to hold them, I think, a little bit longer because streams typically are longer. Whereas, like, as a host, maybe you're there in spurts, or you're sharing the stage with other people. You're not necessarily like the main draw. So I feel like, that's where you kind of have to focus in your skills, is being able to draw the audience in, make them feel invested, make them feel like they belong, and then, give them a reason to be like, well, I want to come back, right? Because that's the other thing. Like, a host is like usually a one and done kind of thing, and you move on to the next thing and that's it. But for broadcasting, it's like you want to make sure that people feel like they want to come back and they want to watch every day. I mean, for lack of a better term, probably like create some form of FOMO, so that way they're like, yo, I don't want to miss the next stream.
True.
So yeah, I think that those are important. But like a host, you definitely want people to feel FOMO, like in the sense of like, I don't want them to leave the audience. Like, I want them to like stay because this is so action packed, but that might not necessarily be because of you. It could be because of whatever the content is on the stage. So, but definitely working with the producer, being able to hear information live in your ear and working off of that. That is definitely a skill that's much different than streaming, because they're gonna tell you things, and you gotta make it look as natural as possible. So
absolutely. And like I couldn't agree more with you, because like hosting and streaming, as somebody who's delved into the hosting world as a podcast host, they're two entirely different things. Like for streaming, like I'll be a COD streamer, right? Well, what my goal is to consistently talk, consistently be there, consistently like dictate my next move, and like the focus is a little bit different than that is of actually being like a podcast host. Being like a podcast host, you actually have to interact. You have to be genuine. You have to listen, because there are things that are said, things that you can piece off of, break off of, and it's just I'm learning this on the fly. I ain't an expert, so don't think I'm an expert here. But this stuff is really fun to do, and in a world of content, you have to find ways to make genuine connections, and I feel like running a podcast like this is one of those ways to do that. So yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, I feel like, when people say they're not the expert at stuff, I feel like the thing that makes you the expert is like going out and doing it. And I think 9 times out of 10, like, people stop themselves before they even get to start. So just going out and like taking action, I think makes you very expert already. So I just wanted to point that out.
Well, I couldn't agree more, because like the old saying is practice makes perfect. And you can't learn unless you fail. You can't fail unless you try. So you got to put yourself out there. You got to do it. And that's where I think the overlapping between hosting and streaming and content creation is. Because another thing that people don't even know is there are people that feel shy or awkward on camera. And genuinely, like, I'm one of those people. Like, I can't tell you how nervous I was before this, because I want to put on a good show. I want to make you feel good and stuff like that. But what do you think some small habits are that can help people grow into a stronger host or a stronger content creator over time?
Yeah, I mean, obviously practice, as we discussed, right? You can't get better if you're not putting yourself into a position to learn and experiment and try things, right?
Definitely.
I think, giving yourself a lot of grace too, right? Because it's going to be hard, and things are going to be inconsistent. And I think, staying motivated even when you don't feel motivated is very difficult, right? And of course, people always talk about like, make sure to maintain your mental health, make sure not to, go too hard on yourself or not to burn out or do things like just push yourself through and mask even when you don't feel like doing it. Like, be aware of your body signals when those things are happening. But I think it's also extremely important to put yourself in a scenario where you are doing difficult things. Like, you are capable of so much more than you think. So,
Yes.
doing difficult things is really important. And even though you feel like something is tough, like putting yourself in the situation to do it will show you that it's probably not as difficult as it seems. And keeping it really super simple, right? Like, if I know I want to become a better broadcaster, you don't need all these technical know-how things. Like, it does help. There are aspects of it that do help if you know how to video edit and you know how to, write code for a bot, or how to set up like multi-streaming and all kinds of things like that. Like, those technical skills do help, and there are like top level things that you should learn. But there are also ways to keep it super simple. There are pre-made things out there. There are other people that you can ask for help. There's so many tools. Like, there's communities that you can reach out to, like the guilds, like the creator clubs, like all of those things, so that way you can work with a network of people. Like, there's no reason why you have to be the expert at everything. But I think it's really important to just put yourself in the middle of doing something, because
Yes.
that's the 90% mark, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. I think that's the enemy of advancement. That's the enemy of, making progress, is like thinking that everything has to be perfect. Like, just do it. And then if it's not perfect, fix it later. I think that's how we get better.
In every podcast episode, I discuss that, and I'm so glad that you pointed that out, because, like, funny, you talk about the difficulties, right? And like, I failed communications 101, right? And now I'm hosting a podcast.
Yeah.
How does that make sense? And like, and when it comes from like the tech stuff, like, you're right 100%, because like, you don't need the best of the best technology to be amazing. You can get that over time. You can always upgrade. But I started on a laptop, a controller, and a singular monitor. And like, I had a headset microphone. It was a Turtle Beach headset, and that's all I had. And I decided to play Call of Duty because people thought that I was funny and people thought that I was goofy. And then my buddy Tyrone was like, "Hey, Perc, I'm going to put you on my stream because you're so funny and people want to see what you look like. I hope that's okay." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine." I wasn't really considering going live, but like, it's funny how things evolve over time. Yeah. And in a world of content, that's just kind of how it is. You learn as you do, and you got to keep going and keep doing things. So,
and you gotta be observant to your surroundings, right? You've definitely got to watch what other people are doing.
Bingo.
You've got to see what's trending. You've got to, I mean, I do this all the time. I always tell people, watch your VODs. Just watch it. Like, I don't understand I'm scared to hear myself talk, or I'm scared to, look at the video. I'm scared. Like, if you're scared, then why would somebody else feel comfortable watching? Like, you've got to get into the habit of air checking yourself and looking at all your clips and, making sure that the production value you are offering to people is giving a return on their investment and their time.
Exactly. 95% of what we do as content creators, streamers, hosts is introspective work, because we have to look back at what we're doing. We got to pay attention to the right analytics. We have to pay attention to when people leave the chat, because maybe we did something. Maybe something happened. We have no idea, but we consistently will say over and over that we learn from experience. But we have to be introspective. We have to look at what you do. If you don't like your content, do you think anyone else would like your content? Because
exactly,
you gotta showcase your passion.
Yeah.
It's huge.
We're like same brain.
Yeah, definitely same brain. So not only do you do a lot of hosting, you do a lot of interviewing, kind of like we're doing right now. So you're excellent at making guests comfortable. So what's your secret to helping them open up? What's your secret to making them be themselves?
Yeah, no, that's a very, very good question. And I think the most important thing is listening in the moment, right?
Yeah.
Oftentimes, when people are interviewing, they're just have a list of questions and they're just like, I got to get to the next one. I got to get to the next one. And they're not actually hearing and reacting in real time to what the person in front of them is saying. So, doing that helps people feel at ease. And then also letting people know that when you're interviewing them, this is their moment. We want you to be there. We want you to shine, and I'm not here for myself. I'm here for you. I'm here so that people can learn how cool and awesome you are. So it's the first thing I usually tell people. And I also tell people that, let's say, worst case scenario, we make a mistake on something. No one is going to know. No one is going to know unless we make it obvious that that was a mistake. Like we verbally call it out or something happens in our body language that shows that something is wrong. But you never want to let them see you sweat, right? So if something does go wrong, either playing it up, like, as a joke, or ignoring it completely, or doing something that basically makes it feel like that was natural, will make people feel like, oh, okay. And it also gives a sense of relief, right? Because once you make that first mistake, you realize, oh, it's not so bad. So there's this really wonderful human being that I did a stream with yesterday named Business. And he's talking Super Nintendo. He's really cool. They do improv classes, and we've done the improv classes together at TwitchCon 2 years in a row. And the first thing that Biz teaches when you do improv is you bow and you say, I failed. That is the first thing you do. And it takes the edge off of like feeling like there has to be a sense of perfection, which messes people up. It really makes them freak out. And I think that that's what people not oftentimes worry about. It's like, I have to be perfect. What if I make a mistake? People are going to laugh at me. That's okay. If you get a laugh out of somebody, you did good, right?
Exactly.
Embracing that stuff. So I think that is major. That is key for making people feel comfortable. And also when I'm going out, like if I'm going out on stage or if I'm doing something with somebody similar to what you did for me today, is I make sure that they are fully prepared and they don't have to do any heavy lifting. So I'll give them all the questions and I'll tell them this is exactly how the show is going to go down. And here's the run of show and here's what to expect. And this is what we'll cover. And anything you don't want to cover, we won't. Making sure that they are fully aware of what is going to happen. That way they're not connecting dots in their mind that don't exist. They're not building stories in their mind that'll never happen or thinking of the worst case scenarios. It's They know what's going to happen. So
Prep
those
is your
are
best
the main
friend.
Yeah, exactly. Those are the main things. So it's worked out for me, and yeah, I hope to continue to do more.
So tech is one of those things that can really help you in these types of situations. Like you discuss, there are certain things that happen on streams that nobody will know what's going on. Like, for example, I'll be straight up open and honest with you about some stuff that's happening right now. There's some stuff that's happening from a technical perspective that's completely out of my control, but you guys will never know that it's going on unless I told you. You'll never know what's happening to my bit rate and why it's fluctuating so rapidly. But the more you stream, the more you learn little tips, the more you know how to utilize your command prompt, the more you know how to utilize certain aspects within OBS to slow the encoding error or to improve the encoding error or to fluctuate certain things and fly with it and like do things on the fly. It's also one of the reasons why like maybe my camera is changing colors and you guys didn't realize it because I just switched my scene. So there are certain aspects that you can do, certain tips that you have over time that can resolve these issues. For example, studio mode. If you're a producer, one of the things that is your best friend is studio mode, because you can make changes within the studio mode and then hit the transition button and it'll be a silent transition and no one will ever know.
Yep. I have used studio mode so many times. Like like for example, if I'm doing a co-stream with somebody and like we're playing a game like Animal Crossing, but I don't want their code to go out on the video, right? I'll use studio mode and I'll get into their town using the code so that way, you know, you don't get trolls that try to like break in or whatever. And then I'll transition over and it'll be super seamless, right? Studio mode is really awesome. Actually,
Dude,
I'm
it
glad
is
that you
so
told people
great.
about that.
Well, one of the
Yeah.
things that like I love to tell people is the utilization of studio mode, because I do a professional podcast.
Yeah.
And you as a producer, as somebody who's back at a producer, not someone who is talking. I don't mean this style of producer. I mean a behind the scenes, someone who's making things happen, making changes, adding media files, adding peripherals on the fly. Studio mode is your best friend. And you have to learn how to be a producer, like an actual producer, to go, you have slide A, you have slide B, you do an A/B test, and whichever one works. If it doesn't, you switch to the B. And like, you see people, there was a really cool scene that the Cincinnati Reds did, right? Or sorry, not the Cincinnati Reds, the Texas Rangers. It was versus the
I was
Cincinnati
gonna say, I'm
Reds.
a big baseball fan.
Yeah.
Big baseball fan here.
So it was a Texas Rangers game. And in their production, they were showing the back end of their production studio saying, well, look at slide F. Look at slide F. All right, we're going to go F, then we're going to go E, and then we're going to go right back to B. We're going to go right back to the slide transition. It was one of the coolest things ever, because you really see what some of the people do behind the scenes that actually are making that live broadcast transition happen. And like, this was after a home run. So it was so cool. Also, let's go Guardians.
Oh, sorry, Mets fan here.
I'm sorry. Hey, you saying sorry to me?
Listen,
you're a Mets fan.
I don't even want to talk about the year that we had last year. Like,
hey,
it's
you
just,
have Francisco Lindor, so I love Francisco. He's my homie.
I have a Lindor jersey. I have a Lindor jersey in my closet right now.
I knew we were friends.
Hey, yeah, let's go.
You might be a Mets fan, but hey, at least you're not a Yankees fan.
Yeah, nah, chill. Nah, Yeah, I mean, this year alone, I've been to more baseball games than I ever have. And every time I go, I have to have ice cream in the hat. So, like, you know, Boston White Sox. I mean, Chicago White Sox.
Boston White
but
Sox.
I did go to no. I did go to a Boston game this year. I did go to a Boston game. I went to a Red Sox game. I don't know where the hat is though, but yeah, unfortunately the Yankee hat. I got a Mets hat hanging up in front here.
If you ever go to Guardians, if you ever come to Cleveland, let me know. I'll go to a game with you in a heartbeat.
Yes, I'm there. Because my goal in life is to go to every baseball stadium at some point.
Well, when you do that, because Cleveland has Cedar Point, I'm just saying, like, do a 2-in-1 trip there, the greatest amusement park in the world.
Heck yeah, let's go.
I'm
I
down.
love that. Ride some roller coasters.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
yeah, actually, I want to make sure I touch on before we change topics.
No, go for it.
You were talking about production, and one of my favorite Instagram accounts is, I think it's called Behind the Screens. And they focus specifically on exactly what you talked about, transitions and showing production behind the scenes, like when people have to call like cameras, like, all right, switch to 7, switch to 9, switch to 1. And like, I've seen it for sports, I've seen it for like award shows. They've gone behind the scenes on like award shows, sports, like all kinds of cool stuff. And it is like, to me, it's one of the coolest jobs, but like also super high stress, because I'm like, how do they know what to call next? How do they know where to go? How do they know what's going to be the best, you know, like best camera angle? But it is so fascinating. And then seeing like the cameramen or camera people, what they have to do to get the shot, right? Like there was one video that they posted on Instagram of like the Kendrick Lamar performance for
that was great.
The halftime show, but they showed like what the cameraman had to do to get like all the 6 shots that they did, and it is super fascinating. I am endlessly fascinated by that kind of stuff, so I'm so glad you brought that up.
The level of production that goes into the shows that you see every day is something that you just can't see. And this is the beauty of being a content creator. And I'm going to shout out BB Jess for a moment. But being a content creator.
Her camera setup is sick.
That's what I'm saying. Like, she'll go to like camera 1, camera 2, camera 7. Like she'll bounce around. and she'll make her cameras like be absolutely incredible and fluid. And I don't know the name of the thing that she uses, so I'm not going to try to name that. But like, I had her on a podcast and we were just kind of talking about the mentality of being a content creator and just doing things right. And like, she's such a gem with the stuff that she puts together, especially from a camera perspective and a production perspective. Like,
Heck yeah.
she even makes her mistakes enjoyable to the point like where she'll be like, all right, we're not doing this. I'm starting stream over. We're starting this over. And then she'll go to her starting soon screen and she'll fix everything. And then she'll go right back. And like, it's the stuff you can't see, but also the stuff you can see. It's really cool to watch production in action. And the reason why I'm going into the content creation aspect is because we wear many hats as creators. We're our own audio engineers, our own production assistants. We are our own video editors. We are our own producers, our own hosts. We're the star of the show. We play the proper video games. We do it all. We're our own marketing professionals. And that's all the stuff that you guys don't see behind the scenes. Like 10% of what you guys are seeing every day is what we're doing right now in front of the camera. The other 90% you guys don't see. The networking for me to even reach out to Ash, to have Ash even come out onto the show.
Yeah.
So it's, you guys don't see that stuff. You guys don't see what happens behind the scenes. And let's kind of talk about that a little bit. Like, what made you have that decision based off of my interaction with you to even come onto the show?
I mean, I think it was the fact that you like emailed me first and was like, hey, I want you to, do you want to do this? Explained what it was and was clear about your intent. I think a lot of people fumble that first interaction, right? Because it's like, all right, why are you reaching out to me? What is it that you want? What is the time commitment? When do you want to do this? How much far ahead do I have to prep? And
Collaboration 101, guys. Collaboration 101.
Yeah, yeah. I think that as you shared, like, and after we started like talking more and like chatting on Discord, it was very clear to me that this was a serious production, right? Like, you were asking me questions, you had questions prepared, you did your research, you did pretty much all the heavy lifting. So once I saw all of that happening, I was like, okay, this is fine. But a lot of people need to understand, like, professional communication is absolutely key. Even if I know you very well, or, you know, maybe even not very well, even if I, you know, just know you in passing, if you email me and say, I want to do X thing, this is the expectation, this is what it's for and when and all that, I would be very 100% open to working with you as long as, you know, all the details are laid out and the intent is clear. So that was like, that's really key. So if you decide to reach out to somebody that you don't know and you email them or you DM them in a professional manner and you let them know all the details and they do get a chance to respond, you know, that's to make sure that you give them the grace of like, hey, you took the time to respond. I'm not going to waste your time. Right? So that's important. And then understand that people are extremely busy, right? So if you don't get a response, you know, understanding that's the way that it goes sometimes. And if you respectfully follow up, you know, within a certain amount of time, I would say like a week or 2 weeks should be reasonable to wait.
Sometimes I give it a month.
Yeah. And that's, you know, I get why, you know, even I would feel comfortable, depending on who I'm reaching out to wait that long. I think that that's totally fine. But then if you reach out repeatedly and you either don't get a response or you get a no, like respecting that boundary, and you know, no doesn't always mean no forever. Like, I think it's okay to eventually reach out and be like, hey, I know you said no before, but do you have time this time? And if not, you know, that's cool. You know, I that would not bother me at all if somebody, as long as they were, you know, it was professional and respectful.
Every single day, I live my life as a professional, inside of work, outside of work, and with my hobbies. And the reason why that I do that is because being a collaborative professional is what allows people to actually see you as a genuine, authentic human being. You have to be professional in your main line of work, and you have to take content seriously. And if I came up to you and I was like, "Yo, Ash, I'm running this podcast. You'd be dope here. Come join." You'd probably be like, "Who the fuck are you?"
I'd definitely be like, okay, that's like reflective of the vibes, you know? And it might not necessarily be a bad thing. It's just,
Right.
okay, like I have to figure out what vibes do I align with most.
And for me, being having a professional mindset with everything that you do allows the ability to create collaborations. And like I know one thing I'm going to mention here is I'm going to say the word, and I hate saying the word, as you guys know. I'm a small creator. Not a lot of people know who I am. I'm undiscovered, but I prefer the word undiscovered when it comes to that. So, but being able to reach out and create collaborations and have people who've been in the industry for as long as they have be comfortable enough to coming on just any type of production that I'm doing, it just means the world. And the reason why it means the world is because you're doing something right. And it comes through being a professional that allows you to effectively network, that allows you to make the genuine connections, and like it's just what you have to like be confident in the content that you're putting out. It allows your authenticity to show.
Yeah, 100%. Everything that you just said, I think you said it eloquently. And confidence is key. I think that people respond well to confidence as long as it's, confidence, not cocky, right?
Yes,
like
confidence versus ego.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And also being professional about it just absolves any confusion, right? Like I'm not going to be confused about what your intent is because I know that your intent is to focus on the work. And so that creates a sense of safety for me that I don't have to put myself in a situation where I don't know what to expect. Will this person take advantage of me? Is this person going to say something that's going to make me feel uncomfortable or anything like that? If we're focusing on the work, there's no problems here. And that creates a sense of trust. And I think, I think you rightly said, not small, but undiscovered. And I think that as long as you continue doing things the way that you're doing them, this is going to be a great trajectory for you. Like you're setting yourself up for a lot of success.
Hey, she's complimenting me, chat. I appreciate it.
Get over
I'm
it.
gonna try. But so the reason why I bring up the confidence aspect, the reason why I bring up the professionalism aspect is because this is what allows you longevity in the content creation industry. This is what's going to allow you to make the connections, to network, to meet new people, and who knows what doors are going to open up just by being your enthusiastic, authentic self. So allowing yourself, and that's the whole point of this podcast today, is talking about longevity in the content creation industry. And as I've said in the beginning, the podcast is dedicated to inspiring, aspiring creators, not just new, but people who are growing, people who want to grow their own product, grow their own brand. So that being said, what is one thing you wish you knew when you started your content creation journey, and how might that help an aspiring creator today?
Oh man, that is such a good question because I feel like there's no handbook for what we do, right?
Bingo.
There is absolutely no handbook. So we are often leaning on fellow creators to learn. We're often having to experiment. We have to sift through data that could be outdated or doesn't apply to us. I wish I knew more about coding and how to utilize bot tools from the beginning, because I feel like it's an important tool to monetize your channel. So I wish I had those skills from the beginning. I still don't really even have those skills. So if there's somebody listening, if you could teach yourself, how to utilize, things like Streamer Bot or anything like that to really drive excitement and drive fun moments, you can set yourself up for a lot of success if you know how to utilize those tools. I would also say that I don't take a long time to learn lessons. Like I observe a lot. I'm very, very introspective about what I do. But I think that making sure that beginner Ash knew that anything is possible, and like you can literally, like, don't sell yourself short on anything.
Yes.
Like if you need to negotiate a contract, not being afraid of saying the higher number because you are totally able to achieve it. Like I think that's probably one thing. So what I mean by that is, let's say you want to work with a company and they come to you and they say, hey, what's your budget for working on this activation? Not being afraid to say, well, my time is worth, let's just put a number out there. If I'm going to do 5 streams, $15,000, right? But you have to justify that cost. You have to say, if I'm going to tell somebody that these 5 streams are going to be worth $15,000, here's what they get with it. This is the analytics for the interactivity with my chat. This is what you would get like post stream, the analytics, me posting across social media, cutting up VODs for clips or whatever. Like those are like making sure that you understand like how to pitch, why that money equals what they're getting. You won't have any problems. I think a lot of beginner broadcasters feel like, whoa, imposter syndrome. Am I worth it? Why would they want to work with me? If I tell them this amount of money, they're going to walk away. No, they're not. Like, yes, it's possible that they can, but they're more than likely going to say, well, we can't work with that budget. How is this budget instead?
Right.
Don't be afraid to do that kind of negotiation. So I would say that. And I would say just make sure that, you're having fun. This should be fun.
Absolutely have fun. Definitely have fun. And I love what you said in regards to you are your own product. You are the product. So market yourself properly. Sell yourself properly. Allow yourself that ability to go to that next level, and don't ever sell yourself short. For me, I say exactly what you said in a slightly different manner. Content creation is a journey, and it's a never-ending journey. So you have to make it what you want to make of it. And that is my something I wish I knew when I started streaming 5 years ago. It was that mentality that allowed me to be able to network properly, that allowed me to be confident in my ability as a content creator. Because let's be real, for somebody who doesn't grow and is not seeing rapid growth like a lot of other people, it's going to be very, very difficult to keep yourself on the right path. So what you want to do is you want to keep doing what you're doing, because you're not necessarily doing anything wrong. But one of the things that you can do is keep being confident in your product and keep learning how to make it better, because the more you work on your own content and the more you put it out there, the more people are going to see it, and the more people might possibly like it and then come to your streams from it. And definitely, I wish I posted content way more than what I do now, because that's going to allow me to be visibly seen and allow people to come say, hey, this is Perc and this is who he is,
Yeah, I absolutely think that consistency is a very big part of success.
Yes.
And like you said, it's a marathon, not a race, right? Like you got to be in it for the long haul. You got to be in it for the love of it. There's going to be a lot of moments, just like with any entrepreneur, right? Because this is an entrepreneurial endeavor. You will spend a lot more in maybe money or time than you're getting back. And it has to be something that's worth it to you. So if you decide like, I want to do this as maybe a full-time career, you have to put in the full-time career hours. You can't put in the hobby hours and expect to have a career.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't. I mean, not everybody is going to be Haley Welsh and blow up by saying Haktua. Not everyone's going to have that happen. And no disrespect to her at all. I love the fact that she blew up.
Something funny.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I was watching YouTube the other day, and I watch a lot of Howard Stern.
Oh,
And
I love Howard Stern.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Howard Stern did a show where it was like a boxing match between like Crazy Cabby and I think Stuttering John or something like that.
Okay.
And there was this woman who I think she was like, you know, an adult actress, and she was talking about how she did a scene with I don't know, one of Howard's people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she was like talking about Haktua, like exactly like that girl in the same context. And I was like, oh my God, she's the original Haktua girl. Like she said that thing like decades before this other girl did. I just thought that was really funny.
So that's a huge point. That's a huge point though, because everybody gets all bent out of shape about copying other people's content, and they're saying this thing like copying content. It's not copying content. It's when the content is out at the right time and you're doing it in your own enthusiastic, authentic way. And it's not copying content. Stop thinking about it like that. Like it's your own stuff. Like
yeah.
Look
Like,
at Corpse
we
Husband. Look
cannot
at Corpse
create-
Husband.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. We're not creating in a vacuum, right?
Right.
Everything is going to be a derivative of something. We are inspired by the people we surround ourselves with. You know, we are, you know, expressions of all of the life experiences that we have. And all of those life experiences are coming from the things that we either consume or read or are inspired by, like whether that's like art or, you know, photography or music or whatever, like, and all of those things are going to drive whatever our creative output is. So it obviously don't go out and steal, right? Like don't go out and be like the thief of art. But even for some people, that is, you know, how they do what they do, right? You know, look at artists like Banksy and things like that. So I mean, don't go out and steal, but also, you know, if you do like utilize creative efforts, you know, find ways to make your voice heard. And I think that's the most important thing. So yeah, I just thought that was really funny. And I was like, oh man, somebody should do like a video where, you know, it's like split and they show both of them. But yeah, and then don't be afraid to repost stuff, right?
Yes.
Like if you've done something and you know, maybe it didn't hit the way you wanted it to.
Except
like,
on TikTok, don't repost the exact thing on TikTok. I'll tell you that right now.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Really? TikTok
will flag it if you have the same wavelength and you have the same visual wavelengths. It will actually flag your content as a copy, and it won't let you post it. So TikTok's the only one that you can't do that. You have to change your edit.
Okay, well, fair enough, right? Like that actually makes a lot of sense, right? Because there were some accounts that were getting, obviously they were getting big off of posting other people's content, but also I've seen some accounts where it's like they literally post the same video every day. So it kind of makes sense to me. But you know, what I mean also, like, yes, repost it, maybe wait a month, edit it a little bit, tweak it a little bit, change the audio quality a little bit, but don't be afraid to also cross post too, because I've seen things like do, you know, really well on TikTok and then not well on Instagram and vice versa, you know what I mean? So don't feel ashamed for doing any of those kinds of things, you know?
Snapchat Spotlight. If you do not use Snapchat Spotlight, use it. That's the only videos that I have ever consistently had 1 million views on, or sorry, not 1 million, 100,000 views on, in a row. Like I've had 3 videos back to back to back hit 100,000 views, and like
nice.
Snapchat Spotlight is massive. I've actually found out, and again, this is all preference. So what I'm saying is an opinion. It's my opinion, but I think that Snapchat Spotlight brings more people into my streams than TikTok brings into my streams. Or Instagram brings into my streams. Yeah.
Interesting.
I think that every creator should utilize Snapchat Spotlight in some way, shape, or form. Just like everyone swears on using TikTok in every way, shape, and form. But like,
I have never thought about using Snapchat. I'm gonna look into it. Yeah,
I will gladly teach you the ropes on the Snapchat, on the Snappy Chat.
I love that. I'm gonna make a note to myself about that.
Yeah. So And we also mention like inspiration. Inspiration is huge in the content world. I wouldn't be a creator if it wasn't for the following four people: X Marie Angel, Steffi Evans, The Only Shady, and Bad Bear Gamer. I would not be here. Perc would not exist as a content creator, as a streamer. The PSP podcast would never exist without them. And what I did is I took aspects of each one of their streams, because I was a viewer first. And then I made it into what Perc is. Steffi's personality, Marie's gutsiness, Shady's storytelling, Bad Bear's educational goofiness and energy. It's like everybody has their own things that makes themselves work. And as a content creator, the best way to grow is by watching other people. That is my opinion, but that is my belief.
I share that opinion. I absolutely share that opinion. I am a Twitch gremlin. I'm always on Twitch.
I'm
I
watching
think
people's streams as I'm editing, like yours last night.
Yeah, it's, I don't know, it's like having someone in the room with you, you know, like you get some sound in the room and then you're able to do work. Like that's totally me as well. I think that when I got my Twitch recap, like out of 365 days, I was on Twitch like 355, you know what I mean? So yeah, I agree with you. And I think, as we said, you know, you're gonna learn from the things that you fill, you know, you fill your space with, you fill your mind with. And there's no better way to learn from people who are achieving the kind of success that you would like to eventually achieve for yourself and be inspired by them.
Yes.
So yeah, continue. I always say, yeah, that's a good thing, you know, to do that.
And another thing in the content world that people really like to try to get into is niche gaming and niche content. So for you, retro gaming is such a distinct niche. Like, what drew you into that, and what drew you into niching down into the retro gaming aspect of things?
Yeah, I think when I first started broadcasting, the first two games I streamed was Breath of the Wild and Tetris 99.
I love Zelda.
But yeah, me too. I have, and just much like everybody else here, I have a very large backlog of video games and a very large physical collection of video games, as you can see here. So I wanted to share, you know, those video game experiences with people. And I said, you know what? I think the first thing I did was I hooked up my Super Nintendo Classic console, because it had, you know, like HDMI output, and I had just bought an Elgato capture card. So I was like, oh, let me try this out. And I think I played like Kirby and Zelda and Mario 3. And I was like, oh my God, this is really fun. And I'm able to like play games that I never got to finish. So I was like, why not? Right. And so I started, you know, looking through the retro category and seeing like all the people who were in there and starting to get to know them and learn the community. And that was like, okay, I think I found my people here. So one day I did a search for the Commodore Amiga, which is basically like a computer system that was popular in the mid 80s, early 90s it was created by Commodore in the United States, but it was way more popular in Europe. And it's still going strong to this day, right? Like people are still making games for the Commodore Amiga. People still speedrun Commodore Amiga. Like, you know, people stream from it. And that's how I met some of my best friends, like Amiga Bill and people who stream a lot of Amiga games. They're very, very active on Twitch. And so once I started seeing how robust this community was, how incredible they were, how supportive they were, like a lot of people helped me learn the ropes and stuff like that, I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to focus on. And also, you know, I think that retro and nostalgia are totally in vogue right now, you know, and hopefully they'll always stay that way, because things are always going to become retro, right? Like things are always like, you think about now, Morrowind and Oblivion are over 20 years old, both of them. And you're just like, how, you know? I personally think, and that's the thing too, right? Like it's fun to talk about these topics, because like you ask people what does retro mean to them, and you'll get wildly different results depending on how old the person is you're asking. So like a kid nowadays would definitely be like, the Wii is retro, and you just be like,
I can't.
Oh my God,
I can't
please.
hear that. I can't hear that. The Wii is not retro. I mean, the Atari. I mean, now we're getting somewhere, right?
Exactly, right? And funny enough, like Atari has had a major resurgence. Like
Yes, it has.
they're still making Atari consoles, like HDMI output Atari consoles, and they're one of the third-party brands that are still making cartridges to this day of their games. And they're taking their IP and and making new games. Like they made a new game based on the story of Yar's Revenge. They've made a new game based on the story of Haunted House. Like they're doing so many cool things and publishing all these cool new games. So there's so much to talk about in that space, and lots of remasters, remakes, like Dragon Quest. Square Enix just recently did Dragon Quest 1 and 2 remaster, which is really beautiful if you haven't gotten a chance to play it. So there's so much like life in that genre where it's like it's small enough where the people who are really into it are really into it, and you'll find a very wonderful source of community. But it's also big enough where you can focus on it and make a great living for yourself if you decide to do this as a career. So that's many of the reasons why I focus on it. And also because I get to be authentically me, right? I get to talk about all of the experiences that I have playing games with my mother, playing games with my dad, talking about all the games that I inherited from my dad, sharing the Amiga that was handed down to me from my dad, and getting to share like real life experiences so people can know who I am as a person and what I identify with and what's important to me and what I love and what makes me passionate. So I get to do all of those things. So I get to show people who I am as a person and be authentic, and they connect with that. So that's the main reason why I focus on retro gaming.
That's why I started streaming in the first place. Not retro gaming, but the passion and authenticity. Because every day when I stream and avoid burnout, I look back and I'm like, the reason why I started streaming is because this is something that I'm passionate about. This is something that I enjoy. And the reason why I bring that up is because watching you speak about your niche, you lit up, and it was so cool to see. And watching, and that's a beautiful thing about having a podcast like this, is being able to watch people get passionate and to watch them light up is one of the most incredible things to see. So I have to ask, have you always had a passion for retro gaming, or how did choosing that niche help you build a consistent, loyal community in your community?
Yeah, I mean, I have always been a Nintendo fan. I've always been into video games. Like, it is a part of my identity. It's a part of my core of who the DNA of Ash. Because as I said earlier, I gamed with my mother, I gamed with my father, I gamed with a lot of my family. And so I get to relive all of those best memories when I engage in this, especially on Twitch and, wherever else I create content. So yes, creating a community through retro gaming has been key. As I said when I introduced myself, creating this as a third space, right?
Yes.
So people come here, they can watch me play a game for the first time that maybe is their favorite game, or we're replaying a game that we really love. Like, for example, Link to the Past is a game that I love to replay. Eye of the Beholder, Dungeon Master, like all those games are games that I love to replay, and my community knows me for it. Or UN Squadron, which is a shoot 'em up game on the Super Nintendo. That's really awesome, fantastic, published by Capcom. So those are games that I know and talk about all the time. But as I said, developing that space where people have that comfort of, oh, I'm going to come and see like these kinds of games, whether it be Nintendo or retro games. And one major thing that I've built community off of that's not retro or Nintendo is Star Trek, right? I'm a big Star Trek fan.
Does that
And
mean
so
you
I
hate me because
started
I'm a Star Wars fan?
No, I mean,
We bring back the
know.
old fanboys movie jokes, you know?
I mean,
Star Trek versus Star Wars.
I'll always say, all right, there's definitely Star Trek episodes that you should watch and check out. Like I respect Star Wars. I do like Star Wars. I have a few Star Wars figures. Actually, I have a Salacious Crumb right here.
Oh, hold on.
Here
Go
he
to
is.
left. Yeah, there you go. Oh, that looks so
Yeah.
cool.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Oh,
Salacious.
I love it.
There he
I love
is.
it.
Yeah. I have him right next to my Enterprise. So yeah, and
Hell
I
yeah.
have an X-Wing right above my desk. But yeah, I built people so I played Star Trek Online, and if you're unfamiliar with Star Trek Online, it's basically a massively multiplayer online game that's been around for over 15 years, where you can, for lack of a better term, LARP your Star Trek life. Like you can,
Oh, that's so cool.
yeah, like you can build your character to look just like you. You can customize all of your ships. Practically every Star Trek ship ever made is in the game. And you can be like, whether you want to be Klingon or Vulcan or human or, Jem'Hadar, whatever. Like you can be all of those characters and go through a lot of the story. And the people who created the game use the TV shows as inspiration for a lot of the content in the game. And the actors from the show voice their characters in the game.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
That is so amazing.
Almost every character that we know and love and grew up with the exception of like maybe one or two, they're actual actors voice their characters. So LeVar Burton as Geordi, you've got voices in there from some actors who sadly passed away, like the actor who played Nog, Aaron Eisenberg, the actor who played Odo. Like there's so many different people in there who are in there, and then you have like Worf, which is really cool, and all that kind of stuff. So it's awesome. It's really, really awesome if you're a big Star Trek fan. But the reason why I brought that up is because I started playing that every Thursday, and we would just talk about the TV show. We would talk about the game. We would talk about like all kinds of, like pop culture, Star Trek stuff. And then people enjoyed that so much, they started coming to the other days, when I wasn't doing Star Trek content, right? And I started building that community, and they stayed for the retro games. I would have people who say, I don't know anything about Star Trek, but I just like hanging out with you. And that's, I think, an indicator of, okay, I must be doing something right, because I'm making people feel comfortable. I'm making people feel like they're having fun. We're directly engaging. Like I think that's the magic of live streaming. So,
Yes,
it's like it's the human element of it. So
I couldn't agree
Yeah.
more. And like,
Yeah.
honestly, like the creating a human connection with people based off of like your genuine like experiences and livelihoods, it's an amazing thing. That's the beauty behind the live streaming world, and people forget
Yeah.
that building a community is so incredible. So for any newer creators who are struggling to find their niche or struggling to get through, and this is a heavy loaded question, and we had an entire podcast with Serena Paris about this, but what advice do you have for those creators who are trying to find their niche and what identity fits them?
Oh, by the way, we have a party crasher here. We have a party
Aw.
crasher. This is Bobby.
Hi, Bobby. Look adorable,
She-
kitty.
Yeah, she is the star of the show. I was like, when is Bobby gonna get here? She's
Joplin's
here.
currently asleep. At the moment I start talking for a long period of time, she'll come in and be like, "Oh, hi." Ooh,
Yeah,
adorable.
exactly.
Mhm.
I think that's a really, really good question, how to find your niche. And I think that, well, I would even go ahead and ask a question of, is it important to niche, right?
Mm.
Um,
Now
And the
I
reason
agree
why
with you
I asked-
there.
yeah, I mean, the reason why I asked that, well, like, okay, I think that there are pros and cons to doing both, right? finding your niche will help you find your people, will help you find your demographic, and know it will inform how you're communicating with your audience, right? Because it'll help narrow down maybe the demographic, the things that are important to them emotionally, psychologically, and then you can kind of know how to approach your content based on what's important to your audience, right? So I get that. Like, so if I know that I love streaming Fortnite, the things that I talk about in a Fortnite stream might not translate if I decide to switch categories and go to retro, right? They might not necessarily, depending on what you're talking about. And the people who watch are going to have vastly different needs, right? Like emotionally, because like maybe the audience for Fortnite is going to be younger, or they're going to be like, you know, maybe have a shorter attention span or whatever. Like there are going to be needs that they have that are going to be very specific to whatever it is that they are in their lifetime at that point, right? So that's why it's kind of important. I think it too niche, because then it'll help inform you like what kind of experience you want to deliver. But then at the same time, like people are multifaceted, right?
Yes.
You're going to experience burnout if you do the same thing over and over and over again for many, many, many years. And you're going to want to explore, you're going to want to learn and grow, you're going to want to feel comfortable like being able to try other things. So I think that there's definitely good and bad when it comes to figuring out like what is it that I want to do. And I think the most important thing, so that way you can kind of like maybe soften any kind of potential problems that could arise from that, is really focusing on who you are as an identity. Like what kind of content, what kind of like experience do you want people to have? Like knowing your why is pretty much what I'm getting at here. Understanding why you're creating content will help inform how people will experience your content. So that way you know what it is that you want to say. So like instead of, I know that when I open, I always say like I focus on retro, I focus on Nintendo, I focus on indie games with a retro vibe. But the most important thing in the elevator pitch that I give to people is I want my space to be a third space where it has a Mr. Rogers kind of feel, because that's more universal, right? That's going to inform you what it's going to be like to be a chatter or to be a viewer in my stream, no matter what game I'm playing. And so that's important because, you know, I don't want to only do retro. Like sometimes I want to play Animal Crossing. Sometimes I want to do something else. But it might be important when you are trying to figure out how to market yourself for sponsorships, right? Because an elevator pitch has got to be quick, right? You've got to be able to describe what you're doing, and it's got to click for people in a short amount of words and a short amount of time. So that's why I feel like understanding your why and developing who the identity is of whatever your channel is quickly will help get that message across and will do much better for you versus being like, well, I just stream this thing. I'm only a food streamer. I'm only a just chatting streamer. And look, if that's something that you are diehard passionate about, you're like, I don't want to change. I want this to be my only thing. There's absolutely no problem with taking that route. The beauty about what we do is that the sky's the limit. Only our imagination is what's going to hold us back from whatever we want to achieve. And, it's all about what you want to get out of it. There's many workflows to achieve success. And even like you said, it's my opinion, right? Like there are some people out there who will tell you the exact opposite. You've got to niche down. You've got to talk to your audience in this very specific way. You have to curate everything that you do. And then there's some people who are like, I just throw up videos and I don't even think about the thumbnail.
So I'm actually one of those people who throw up videos and don't really think about the thumbnail, except for the podcast stuff, because I actually want everybody to look good whenever I do stuff like that. So that's really awesome when it comes to talking about niching down. And like, I personally think that niching down helps, but again, it's your own journey. You can do whatever you want. And like,
Yeah.
it's what showcases your passion.
Yeah.
And that's going to allow you to be along for a long time.
Right, exactly. It is going to give you direction. Whereas if you don't have direction, you're going to feel like intimidated by the blank canvas.
Yes.
Right? You're going to feel very intimidated. Like you're going to be like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what's right. And I think that's the more important thing, is that there's really no right or wrong per se, because even with like going viral, right? Like there are people who will be like, the gurus of going viral. Like, you have to do this, you have to post this way, you have to do this content, this kind of length, and have these kinds of graphics with this kind of sound or whatever. And it's like, those things can change very quickly, and even the people who develop these apps and work on these algorithms don't even fully understand them themselves.
Yes.
So just do what feels right for you. And if niching down feels right, like, do it, because there are going to be mega like pros if you could really figure out how to emotionally connect with that audience and how to really understand how to deliver for them. So if you say want to get into cooking streams, for example, and you have a sense of something that is really successful because you've tested it 1,000 times and you know it very well, like, that's the most important thing.
I definitely agree with you. And like, being able to allow yourself that ability is huge. So I want to kind of jump a little bit here, kind of off your notes here, but a little bit of a jump into this direction. What separates a content creator or streamer from a quick in and out of the content world versus being around the community for the long haul? How do you think that is either niching down or niching out? And I know we kind of touched on it a little bit, and that's kind of the route I want to go, because I think that's a really interesting question here.
Yeah. So I hope I understand this question correctly.
Sure.
I think the difference between somebody who is like a fly by night in and out versus somebody who stayed for the long haul, like, what is the difference in their behavior to make them either stay longer or stay a shorter amount of time? Okay. So I think the most important thing, right, is staying in your lane. Like, and what I mean by that is not, oh, I'm my own business. It means focus on what you're doing and be intentional about what you're doing, and not, being comparative to what your journey is versus somebody else's journey, right? Because I don't know what work behind the scenes somebody else has done to achieve what looks effortless, right?
Yep.
I don't know. And it could look effortless, but that's the thing. A lot of things that look effortless is effortless because that person has put in 5 years, 10 years of work, right?
That is such a huge point.
Don't let comparison be your thief of joy. Don't look at others and be like, well, I want what they have, and why am I not getting it? And when people don't achieve the success in the timeline that they expect, that's when you'll see people be like, well, I give up. Do I even matter? Why am I even doing this? I don't care anymore. I'm burning out. I hate this, whatever. Like, you've cheated yourself out of so much joy, like, do what you're doing because you love it.
Yes.
And because it's important to you, and because you've got something to say and you know why you're saying it. Like, oftentimes these kinds of conversations come up, specifically in the Twitch sphere, when it's talking about pushing for partner, right? Like, how do I achieve that? And then there are people who are like, well, you got to partner push, you got to, create this hype, you got to do this, you got to do that. And then, like, within a certain amount of time. Well, it's like, first of all, Why do you have to set yourself up on that calendar? For what? What are you learning? What are you circumventing by taking shortcuts and wanting to do things quickly? What are you cheating yourself out of? What are the experiences you're cheating yourself out of? But not to say that trying to achieve success is something that you shouldn't do. If you want to be successful, go for it. Do it. Don't apologize for that. Just be confident in what you're doing, but understand that if you take certain routes, there are certain other routes that have been proven to happen because of, multiple experiences, multiple testimonials of what people experience. So specifically with partner pushing, you'll often find a lot of people say, oh, I pushed and I had all this hype, this excitement, I achieved partner, and then like a few weeks after I achieved partner, my numbers dropped because I didn't have the same hype. I didn't have the same excitement. I didn't, it's kind of like dieting, right? Like instead of changing your life habits to make small incremental changes that'll last you the rest of your life, people crash diet and then they gain the weight back like almost immediately. And then they wonder why they backslid, do you have the same amount of hype? Are you putting on the same level of events? Are you putting in the same effort? Or did you get comfortable after you achieved what you perceive as success?
And that's,
And
I think
that.
Oh, sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
sorry. Go ahead. Please go ahead.
I like to describe that mentality of like the journey of content creation as a car in cruise control. There never
Mhm.
is really any real reason to try and give yourself those tentative timelines, but you can allow yourself to strive for a goal. And striving for a goal is important because ultimately what everybody forgets is we have to go back to the basics. When you're a content creator, you want to showcase your passion. You're
Mhm.
passionate, you're going to be more inviting. I think of content, the world of content and creating content, kind of like a dating show. And this
Mhm.
is really interesting because I know I'm throwing a lot of analogies out there like really quickly. But like the moment you try too hard, everyone's going to know and everyone's going to be kind of like, I don't know. But the moment you let yourself kind of relax a bit and just let yourself go with the flow, that's when you're going to start to see that growth because you're comfortable in your own shoes. And a lot of people miss that.
Absolutely 1,000,000,000%. Yeah, I agree with that. 100 million billion%. Because it goes hand in hand what we discussed with confidence as well,
Yes.
right? Like when you walk into a room and you're not looking at your phone, you're not looking for the wall to go hang on, you're not, relying on something else to kind of take the edge off, and you walk in confidently, you speak a little slower, you don't, you're not afraid to engage with people. People feel that energy.
Yes, they
And
do.
people also feel that energy when you are streaming and you love what you do versus it's a means to an end, right? Now, again, I don't want anyone to feel like if they are doing this because they want a certain type of success, why that should be discouraged or why there's something wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being like, I want to work with Nintendo. I want to be a stage host. I want a certain kind of viewership. I want to achieve success. You just have to understand that you have to work even when motivation is low. You have to experiment. You have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations.
Yes, you do.
And you have to be consistent with what you're doing.
And I know that's like amazing to think about, but I have the corniest goal in the world. As a creator, and like everyone's like, you're selling yourself short, Perc. You're selling yourself short. No, I promise you, I'm not. My goal as a content creator is to make at least one person smile a day. I don't care if it's my co-host. I don't care if it's you guys. But the moment someone tells me, oh my God, this was fucking amazing, you're a really, really genuine human being, that is what makes my heart absolutely whole. And that is kind of why I do it. And I don't do it because I have what is it called? A praise kink. That ain't it. That ain't my mindset. I do it because this is a hobby that I turned into something that I'm truly passionate about. And the moment I get into conversations in regards to the industry and the content industry, it showcases that passion, because the world of content is such a vast place. There's so many different avenues. There's so many different people out there. There's IRL streaming, Call of Duty streaming, FPS streaming, retro streaming, like you name it. There, content is just something that's consumable,
Mm-hmm.
and people forget that. So,
Mm-hmm.
as a creator, what lasting message do you want to give any new and aspiring creator? What do you think they need to know if they're thinking about hitting that go live button for the first time?
I think that they need to know that this is a marathon, not a race. And I think that they need to know that there is a lot of trial and error involved. And I think that they need to go for the 90%. They need to go for the 90%. It's not about perfection. It's not about, being the best. Well, I mean, if you want to be the best, go for it. But if you want to improve and you want to do well and you want to do this for a long time, you've got to give yourself grace, allow yourself to make mistakes, just get things done, and push through even when motivation feels low. Like, that's something that we've said multiple times throughout this whole entire show, but it's because it's so important, and it has gotten me where I've gotten to, through today. And it's true. It's just simply true. It has been the way that I think about every aspect of what I do all the time, every day when I'm doing this stuff. And I think that it should be fun. And I would say also the last thing is, like, always bet on yourself.
Yep.
Always bet on yourself. Imposter syndrome is a really big thing in this space. And there's no reason why it has to be, because, like you said, somebody could be listening and watching this. They could be lurking. You have no idea.
Yep.
And you could have said something that really had a deep impact on them, something that they'll hold with them for years and years and years. And you just impacted that person, in a deep way, in a profound way. And that's huge. That's huge, right? That's what we're doing this for, is to create deep, actual, real connections with people that may mean something.
As the
So
great
there's
Kendrick
value in that.
Lamar said,
Mhm.
bing bop, boom boom, boom bop bam. That's the type of shit I'm on you don't even understand. And holy shit,
Exactly.
you hit the nail on the head there. I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
I
mean, your goal
Go ahead.
of making one person smile, like, that is an awesome goal,
Thank you.
And that, I always say that too. I remember when I was at DreamHack and I was telling somebody, like, hey, if I get one laugh out of somebody, if I am looking in the audience, I see one person laugh, I'm like, mic drop, I'm done, I'm good.
It's
I
huge.
did what I needed to do for the day,
And like so you bring up imposter syndrome. I have imposter syndrome. Like, for example, like I'm gonna bring. I keep bringing out DreamHack Dallas 2024, right? So DreamHack Dallas 2024. I went into that convention. You know what? This is gonna be my last hurrah in the streaming world. I'm gonna hang it up. I'm gonna do what I need to do. I'm gonna go do what I need to do. Maybe talk to some people, and then go watch some Call of Duty, and then go home and then just be a viewer. So I went in there with that mentality. But what I did not expect is the amount of love and support that I've seen in regards to the podcast, in regards to the Call of Duty content that I've been creating. Like, to the point where I met Sasky for like one of the first times ever. Sasky came up and told me, he's like, Perc, I love your content. I'm like, the fuck? What do you mean you love my content? It's like, well, me and a lot of people watch your content, whether it be from the podcast or whether it be like from what you're doing. Like, that shit resonates with me. Just to even hear that. And it actually inspired me to go back with a whole different set of things, because the mentality that I took from that conversation wasn't because I didn't know why I'm here. It was, you never know who is watching your content at any point in time, and you need to allow yourself to enjoy yourself, to present that content, in that point in time.
Mm-hmm. It's absolutely 100% true. I have similarly been surprised by people who are like, Ash, I love your channel. Like, I went to TwitchCon EU this year for the first time ever.
Mm-hmm.
And TwitchCon EU is definitely very different than San Diego because
Yes.
especially if you're, in the United States, like obviously you're going to know a lot more people at San Diego than in EU. If you're a streamer in, EU, Japan, Australia, you might know more people there. But because I play a lot of like Commodore Amiga, or because my time that I actually go live, there are people in Europe who do watch. And I had somebody come up to me and they were like, yeah, I lurk in your channels like every day. And I was like, what? And it was really cool because she was like, yeah, I watch everything that you do and I never talk, but I really love your channel. And I was like, oh my gosh,
It's
this
such a
person has
great
been
feeling.
watching my channel for years because they were able to tell me all these different things that I had done. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. It's really, really cool. So you never know. You never know. And there are people who could discover this podcast, a year from now and then be
Mhm.
like, yo, I really like this. Now I'm going to go back and see what's going on now.
Maybe they make their own podcast, like by all means, like I know some people are like, don't copy my shit. No, copy my shit. Go bring on
Yeah.
people, have better conversations than me. Do it better. I dare you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like
Exactly.
I want to see the
Exactly.
world
Which
of
is-
content grow. I'm a completely different being. Like
Exactly. Yeah, I agree because then it legitimizes the space so much more. Like I'm tired
Yep.
of people not like if I explain the concept of an actor, everybody understands what that is, right?
Yes.
We are digital entertainers. It's
Yep.
not that far off. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you should be able to explain this and be like, yeah, I'm an actor, except, I do it on camera live. Like if you're into Broadway, you could be into what we're doing here on Twitch or wherever,
Yeah, except I
you're
can't
streaming.
sing. I can't sing to save my life.
But there are plays where people don't sing at all.
Yes, there are.
So yeah, exactly. And then the other thing is like, there are a lot of transferable skills between those things. And so, yeah, maybe I might not have the visibility as like Tom Cruise or, Jennifer Lopez or like people like that. But there are people within our space that can achieve that kind of success or in that similar stratosphere,
Or
right?
maybe
So-
it's a matter of time and you will.
Right. And so, by you saying, I'm not going to gatekeep anything, I want other people to succeed. I want more money circulating in this space for others to understand it and it to grow. And maybe then like more people are getting involved because it's, more accessible because this information is now out there. It
Mhm.
legitimizes the platform. It makes people see like this is something I can invest in. Maybe more sponsorships are now like happening because then it's like, okay, we understand this a little bit better. Because like imagine going to a boardroom and saying like to a brand, Nissan, hey, if we put this actor in this commercial, it'll help sell cars. Okay. If we stream what it's like, looking at a new preview of this car at a car show, live on Twitch, this is what this could look like. And then all of a sudden, you've got people who may not have understood the space now getting curious,
Yes.
right? So I think that is an absolute important goal to have, to be able to never gatekeep, to always share this information, which is why like for me, I'm always doing panels. I'm always inviting people onto panels. I'm always talking about, how do we share education? How do we get more people doing this or people doing this where they're not having such a hard time? So I'm right there aligned with you.
It's a huge thing. And like we definitely want to have more people in the content space because that's going to be how the content creation industry is going to grow, whether it be from an esports perspective, whether it be from like just a podcast perspective. There are a million different avenues out there. So my
Yeah.
last question of the podcast is, as a new creator coming into the space,
Mhm.
what do you want to see from them? What does Ash want to see?
I want to see content creators who are, very intentional about what they're doing. Like they're asking themselves, why am I doing this? What do I want people to feel and experience? And I want people to really push the boundaries of what it means to be a live broadcaster. Do they have bots that do incredible things? Are they, are they including pop culture into their broadcast? Like I love, love, love seeing people who are doing like performance work on Twitch. Like maybe they bring a little bit of acting, maybe they bring a little bit of improv, maybe if they're a music performer, they're doing stuff. Like I recently found this channel who they're music performers. It's like duo, and they were dressed like Devo, which is a band from the 80s.
I love
and
Devo.
They also Yeah, Devo's
Huge
awesome.
Devo fan.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they had like all these cool graphics that were very like 80s, 90s, and they were doing really fun things with their alerts and their bots and stuff like that. I also want to see people have like really important conversations, right? Like I want people to feel safe in this space, and they don't have to apologize for who they are. I want safety for non-binary people. I want safety
Yes.
for people of color,
Yes.
Black people.
Mhm.
I want safety for women and anybody, no matter what their walk of life is. Trans people. I want
Mhm.
safety in this space for them so that they can exist and show their beautiful ways that they live life on this planet, and also be able to have fun creating things that are personal to them, and be able to connect with people who share, their experiences, or people who are curious and maybe never knew anything about what it's like to live or be in those paths of life, and be like curious about like, oh, I found this new human being that's really awesome. I want to get to know them. Like I want them to feel safe in that space. So that's what I want to see for the future of content creation.
That is an absolutely amazing thing to see. And like the future content creation is bright with a lot of the people in it. And I want you guys to see that. I want you guys to start like paying attention to all these new creators. And when I say you guys, I don't just mean you people in the audience. I mean all of us streamers, because I know the majority of people that watch my content is a lot of streamers. Like put yourself out there, allow yourself to be seen. I know it's difficult. I know we're busy. I know we have to lurk from time to time, but also put yourself out there and do your damnedest to get into other people's chats, because that's going to allow them the mentality of even you just saying hello. Like it's going to drastically inspire those people who are wanting to grow. And that's my message to streamers. My message to new and aspiring creators. There's only one journey, ladies and gentlemen. So make it your own. And have fucking fun.
Yep. Exactly.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming into another powerful episode of the PSP Podcast. And as always, Perc Spreads Positivity, because that's what PSP means. And ladies and gentlemen, if you are not following Ashsaidhi, my face will haunt you and your drinks. No, I'm kidding. It won't. But please make sure you're going to follow her. Go show her some love. Go follow her channels. Go tell her the podcast sent you. And like genuinely, I appreciate everybody. And Ash, thank you for being an absolutely amazing, immaculate guest. And ladies and gentlemen,
oh my God, thank you. This was like amazing. Like I can't tell you enough how easy it was to come on and talk and feel comfortable talking and know what to expect. Your questions were really great. But before I go, I just want to scroll up my camera, because I want to point out this box right here, which is the original box for when the PSP first launched.
Oh,
my
hell
very,
yeah.
very first PSP.
She brought the PSP on the PSP.
Yeah, there you go. I had to point that out. I had to point it out because of my retro collecting, which it's sad to think like the PSP is probably retro now, but
it is totally so retro now. Hey, add it to your niche, add it to your stream. We're gonna bring back retro gaming with the PSP. Yep.
But that is like from the first run of PSPs.
Yes.
I was like a day one adopter for that. So
well, thank you very much once again. And ladies and gentlemen, as always, stay positive, keep creating, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. You guys have a wonderful
Bye.
night, ladies and gentlemen. Bye.